And now on to our dinosaur of the day, Bradycneme, which was a request from PaleoMike716 via our Patreon and Discord, so thanks. Bradycneme was a theropod dinosaur that lived in the Late Cretaceous in what is now Transylvania, Romania, found in the Holotype Basin with all the dwarf dinosaurs. It was named from a partial lower right leg. The type and only species is Bradycneme draculae.
Yeah, it's such a good species name.
Yes, that comes from the Romanian word dracul, which means evil one and refers to Dracula, in case that sounded familiar. It was named in 1975 by C.J.O. Harrison and C.A. Walker. They named both Bradycneme and Heptasteornis, and they thought that Bradycneme was a large owl when they named it. The fossils, even though they didn't name it till 1975, those fossils were found in 1923 by Lady Smith-Woodward. It was in fairly good condition, but small areas were crushed. The holotype's almost 4 centimeters, or about 1.5 inches wide. If it were an owl, it would have been stout.
So that width basically tells you the thickness of the leg bone.
Mm-hmm. And it would have been a very large owl standing at over 6 feet or about 2 meters tall. Before it was thought to be an owl, both Bradycneme and Heptasteornis were assigned to the bird Elopteryx nopcsai, which might be a troodontid. Elopteryx was named in 1913 based on half of a femur, a thigh bone, and then other bones were referred to it, including the bone now assigned to Bradycneme. Over the years, Bradycneme has been split and synonymized with Heptasteornis and Elopteryx. And all of these splits and lumpings and everything, they're all based on, like all 3 of them are based on fragmentary fossils, all parts of the leg. So I could see why it gets confusing. The Catalog of Fossil Birds in 1978 wrote, quote, "The holotype had been doubtfully referred to Elopteryx by Andrews, 1913, but it almost certainly represents a theropod dinosaur," end quote. Which I guess doesn't change too much if you think it was an owl.
Yeah, that's a theropod dinosaur.
Yeah. But anyway.
Not what they were going for, though.
When it was thought to be Elopteryx, they thought it was a pelicaniform bird, which are medium to large aquatic birds.
Like a pelican?
Yes. And then, of course, 1975, they thought it was an owl, and for a while it was thought to be one of the oldest owls known. They described it as a large owl, quote, "much larger than any described species."
Yeah, it was 6 feet tall. That's a big owl.
Yeah. At other times, though, Bradycneme was thought to be a troodontid. So yeah, lots of confusion here. It has ankle bones similar to tetanurans. Tetanurans include like tyrannosaurs, ornithomimosaurs, and birds, just to name a few. It also had some features similar to troodontids with certain grooves and shapes. Again, we're all basing this on a leg bone.
Partial leg bone.
Yeah. One study suggested that Bradycneme was similar to Deinonychus, but later studies couldn't find those similarities. In 1998, Zoltan Siskisav and Dan Grigorescu said that Bradycneme was in quotes as an informal name, partly because it has similarities with troodontids, but it had a character that made it not seem like a coelurosaur. That's the clade that includes all theropods more closely related to birds. And they said more fossils were needed, and they did find differences between Bradycneme and Elopteryx. But the latest is that Bradycneme is considered to be an alvarosaurid, like you were saying earlier, Garrett. So as an alvarosaurid, it probably walked on 2 legs and would have had very short arms. So short you'd only notice its fingers, and a long tail, a short neck, a long face with a beak, and maybe it had feathers.
It's interesting you describe it as a short neck, I guess compared to a sauropod, but I think of it as sort of like an S-curved, longish neck.
When I was looking at the pictures, I do compare it to sauropods in my mind. Good call out.
Yeah, I often think of the alvarosaurid as chest-clawed weirdos because their arms and hands are so short that it looks like their claws are just basically pointing directly out of their chest.
Mm-hmm. The genus name Bradycneme means massive leg or heavy leg. Again, it's named based on its leg. And again, that species name, draculae, refers to Dracula. Bradycneme lived on an island with a lot of rivers and lakes. Some other animals that lived around the same time and place include amphibians, turtles, crocodiliforms, lizards, mammals, and pterosaurs, including a big predator one, Hatzegopteryx. Some other dinosaurs that lived around the same time and place include the armored nodosaur Struthiosaurus, the small sauropod Magyarosaurus, and theropods, including, of course, Elopteryx and Heptasteornis. And you can learn a lot more details about all of these dinosaurs and the island they lived on in episode 400. That was our milestone episode, all about Hatzeg Island.
That's a cool one. And I remember thinking when learning about this dinosaur that the fact that it was owl-like kind of came full circle with a recent study saying that alvarezsaurs might have had owl-like hearing.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a fun little connection that it sort of came all the way back around.
Yeah, they weren't totally off.
I mean, they kind of were because they were basing it on a leg. But
well,
yeah.
It's hard.
You can be right for the wrong reasons.
It's hard to know much from a leg.
Yeah.
From a part of a leg. For those of you who listen to our Dinosaur of the Day segment and you like it, please consider becoming a patron. We take new Dinosaur of the Day requests from our patrons and offer a bunch of other perks as well. So check out our page at patreon.com/iknowdino or click the link on the left.